let's get cracking. Rating every single combat in the game. So this got brought up a couple weeks ago on one of my streams, and when I looked past, I've not done this for quite a while now. I know there are some buffs coming to some of these combats, so these ratings may change, and I can do it again towards the end of the year. But obviously, I thought I'd get this out of the way. Sort of been a lot of requests for this, so I thought we might as well get it done. Rating every combat and weapon in the game for obviously 2025. So kicking it off, we've got Night Stalker and Ravage. Now, I know these guys are getting a buff, but it's hard to judge where they will be in the meta when that happens. So all we can do is judge them from now. So right now, as you can see from the list, as you look forward there, it's pretty obvious. I'm not a big fan of minions. I just find that they die quite easily. Even if they sit back a bit, they don't have enough health, especially the older minions. And Night Stalker and Ravage being the original two that were released, just feel like they just lack a bit of punch, just lack a bit of utility, lack a bit of HP, and just generally don't do well at the top levels of the game. Now, don't get me wrong, even though you can see some of these obviously rated as D tier, not very good, you're better having a combat than not. So there's no sort of E tier where I'm like, this is rubbish, this is awful, don't use it, absolute trash. D tier is, listen, if you've got no other combats and no other options, you might as well use them, but there are better options. That's the idea. Then we've got Dial and Overkill. Obviously, no secret that I have mine still at level 1. Dale has said that he's improved them, he's buffed them. I'm hoping that that is the case and they become relevant again. I can't see it still. But they are a lot better. I've tried them out, but that'll be coming with the new buffs. Then we've got Red Heat and Bomb Shock. Absolutely appalling bots, along with Rollburn and Power Punch. The only difference, obviously, being that they do extra damage to shock towers, which is kind of irrelevant, really. It's like, okay. But if you're that close to a shock tower, then usually they've got something like Negatronus on or the Age on, so it's kind of useless. And the amount of DPS that they give your bots, again, is just a bit useless as well. And the reason that I don't really like bots that are not attached to the actual bot itself, where they're like sort of minions in a way, is because they can get killed and you lose that benefit. If they get killed in the last minute of battle, that's it, done. Whereas most equipable combats actually do something throughout the battle, and then obviously if the bot dies, you may lose that effect, or they may have a different effect. But with the minions, obviously you lose that completely if the bot dies, if the combat dies. So I'm more of a fan of combats that you can equip. Looking on to the next tier. So next tier is tier C. So again, these are combats that we'll take a look at that are like, listen, they're alright, they're not bad, they're not awful like the D tier ones, but they're okay, they can do a job, but there are better ones out there. And as you can see again, there are some sort of minion combats in here. So we've got Lionizer and Catgut. I'm not a big fan of the damage they give, and then when I don't also like combats that do something after the bot has died. I'm not a big fan of that. I just feel like for most of the battle, then they're kind of useless a bit. So, yeah, Lionizer and Catgut, some of the original ones probably need a bit of an update, so not the best. Then we've got Smashdown and Razor Sharp. Again, the stun that they gives in a small area, the extra damage is pretty much standardized, so not the best in terms of giving extra DPS and giving any sort of utility. Then we've got Razor and Tombot, and they're slightly better than the other minions because they stay in the air, so there's less things that can target them. So they do tend to stay alive a bit longer than the other minion combats, but for the same sort of reason that they can die, just means that they're a bit of a nuisance more on defense, so hence why they're a bit of a higher rating. Then we've got Rat Trap and Vertebrake. They're okay because obviously they can give you the anti-hack, but again, being minions just means that they aren't. They're more susceptible to being killed, so not a big fan. And obviously the fact that Rat Trap is a combat is kind of a travesty, so that goes against it even. So yeah, that's the C tier combats. Then we go into B tier. So in terms of B tier, we've got Fire Drive and Blowpipe. So give good damage, half decent combats. But the problem is that I don't like is the range that they give is quite short range. I like the more range the better for me. Hence why you'll see further up the list the bots with more range tend to do a lot better. I don't like that short range, and I always said that if you're having short range combats, it doesn't help with pathing. You'll find that your bots walk round walls a lot more, even though they do more damage to walls. And I feel like there's a buff needed to make these combats go through walls faster so that they're not walking around walls. Because the way that works is the computer thinks, oh, it's going to take me 10 seconds to go through this wall. It will take me 9 seconds to walk around it. And so the shortest route for that bot is to walk round the walls. Whereas if they increase the damage to walls, they'll go through faster and hopefully will stop them walking round. That's why I don't really like short range combats, and hence why we've got Trench Foot and Caliburst as well for the same sort of reason. Then we've got Sound Barrier and Double Crosser. Pretty decent. They're alright. They're not bad. They do a decent amount of protection. But as you can see from the list already, that the likes of Shield Run are a lot higher. Let me just sort the screen out. I just realised that you can't see some of them. So I'm just going to sort that out a minute. One sec. Let's just do this a minute. Try and make it a bit more presentable. No, it's worse, doesn't it? Let's not do that. Let's do this in a minute. There we go. It's better. There we go. Cool. Then we've got Stripes and Glit, and again, they are decent, do a decent amount of healing. I know they are minion combats, but they're higher because of the amount of healing they give. It is a really good amount of healing they do. But again, the fact that they're minions, I'm not too keen on them. Listen, healing is a huge part of combats. Any combat that gives healing is generally pretty decent, but not as a minion. You just tend to find that they can run off and they can get killed quite easy. Next, we've got Top Heavy and Sights. So these guys give a decent amount of range. I could maybe put them in A, really, because of the amount of range they give your bots, but the sort of damage they do in a line is kind of unbeneficial, really. It's not really great. Obviously quite good on Warpath, because obviously if I Warpath in a line, you can get an extra bit of damage out of these two combats. But personally, I don't really use him. Not a big fan. Next, we've got Dazzle Strike and Gizo. Decent on lights of Optimus Prime when you're rushing. Obviously reduced range. But again, there's just some better options out there. And then obviously, when the bot dies, they transform. But I'm not a fan of that either. I'm not a fan of anyone that does that. Next, we've got Sport and Aimless. So these may become better when the buffs come in. It's been found out that they weren't doing enough damage on their second and third hits. Only the initial one was doing the right amount of damage. So obviously when testing them, they seem quite underwhelming, but that might change when the buffs come in. But for now, they're okay. They're not bad. Decent range for your bots and okay damage, but that might obviously make them upper tier maybe when they get their buffs in. Next, we've got SG Ravaged, SG Steeljaw. Give a decent amount of protection, almost like a Trax Cloud around your bots. But like I said, again, minions susceptible to dying quite easily, and so that's why they're in B tier. Next, we've got Zor and Slugfest. These guys could probably go a bit higher. They are decent. They have a decent amount of HP, which makes them a bit better than most other minion combats, and hence why they're a tier above. But yeah, really good range, really good HP, and do a decent amount of damage. So Could push into A tier, but a really solid B tier, I would say. Definitely the top end of B tier. Next, we've got Triceratops Shot and Heartburn. Good for combat in terms of healing, but again, they just give that short range that I'm not a big fan of. Any combat that gives that sort of range just doesn't do it for me. And personally, I would like to increase the range for combats. I think for scouts, I feel like scouts always get in trouble and die quickly. I think that a good concept would be increase the range of Triceratops Shot and Heartburn just to give them that bit of protection, and it also brings these combats back into the meta a bit and give them people a good reason to go and get them and level them as well. So hoping they can get a buff in the future. I don't think it's going to come around with this round of buffs, but yeah, be an interesting concept to sort of help scouts become more prevalent in the game. Next, we've got Windstrike and Bar. Oh, I'm not a big fan of these. They give a decent amount of increase in DPS, but I don't really use mine. Even as a 5-star, I'm not really impressed with it, even though it gives a good DPS boost. Maybe good on an outpost if you want to do some extra damage, things like that, but not a fan. Same with Sawtooth and Zora for the same reason. Give a decent amount of DPS, decent damage in an area. They're not awful, but they just don't really do it for me. Then we've got Victory, Leo, and Tiger Chest. So they may be making it so these can be equipable on more bots, but for the time being, the fact that they only go on Star Saber kind of brings them down to B tier. Now, if we're talking Star Saber, I'd be pushing these up to S tier for Star Saber. It's the combat to put on him. Absolutely amazing. But I think the fact that Star Saber isn't a big meta bot and isn't considered amazing almost makes it that this combat isn't essential to go and chase. If you're not using Star Saber at a really good level, which most people aren't, why go and chase these combats? So that's hence why they are in B tier. Not because they're not great, they are great, but they're very limited. Next, tier up. Now we've got A tier, we've got Traxodon and Pterodactyl. Dead simple, they give a great amount of healing, especially bots that do a huge amount of damage, because they don't just heal for DPS, they heal for abilities as well. So if you've got a bot that does a great amount of damage, it's an ideal candidate to put Traxodon on and Pterodactyl. Next we've got Flak and Crater Maker. Some of the original bots in the game, still really good. If you couple them with Primer, do a great amount of damage in an area. So really, really good combats. Next we've got Top Shot and Fireline. Still good after their nerf. We talked about at the time them being S tier and being unbelievable. This is probably why they're in A tier right now. With level 11, it pushed them back up close to where they used to be. But I don't think quite there. I use Top Shot here and there. A bit the same as Trax and Crater Maker. I use them here and there, but they're not a solid staple on my war team. Next we've got Rung and Shroot. Now I'll put them in A simply because I don't feel they're as good as other combats, which we'll show shortly. Still very good, but I think there's some better options. Then we've got Shieldron and Fangatron. Some people may put these in S tier a bit higher. They were my war team and I took them off quite recently. They're very dependent on what base you're going against. Now, if you want to use Rook to pop an outpost and you put a Shieldron on for a free pop, they're S tier. They're absolutely amazing. You get a free pop of an outpost out of them. But if you're not using them for that, sometimes they can pop outposts when you don't want them to. They can drop the hollow, they can walk off, and they can pop outposts and cause problems. And I'm not a big fan of that sometimes. So it's very base dependent on whether Shieldron and Fangatron are useful against certain bases. But yeah, still very good. They can be useful. But the top tier of the game, when you're trying to plan things to the sort of minor details, they can cause some issues. Next we've got Pinpointer and Singe. Again, really, really good healing. They have that short range that I don't like, but because they give a huge amount of healing, they are really good. If they had more range and could be equipable on more bots, I reckon they would be S tier. But because they're only on air class and because they give that short range, that just knocks them down. But a great amount of healing that they give. Next we've got Trip Up and Roller Force. I'm not a big fan personally because they are minions, but they do give a great boost. We talked about people timing out on top level bases. This kind of prevents that and gives them that boost. A lot of top players use them in top wars, but again, I'm not personally a fan. I have used them in and out here and there, but I just think they're not quite S tier in terms of when we talk about S tier, we talk about being essential and being amazing. I just don't think they're quite there. Next, we've got Bashbreaker and Gabu. Really good combats, really good amount of acid. So yeah, I mean, acid's always quite decent for protecting against, for stopping healing. But I just feel like they're okay. They're pretty good, decent amount of damage. But again, just not quite that S tier. Then we've got Kunai and Bido. Now, unlike the previous ones, we talked about Victor Leo and Tiger Chest. Unlike them, they can be equipable on pretty much any healer, and so decent on any healer. They're okay, but on Wheeljack, I would say they are S tier. But for me, I feel like there's better combat, which we'll talk about shortly, and talk about the combo that I use. But behind that, these would be third choice, and hence why they're sort of A tier. So on Wheeljack, absolutely amazing, can't go wrong. On every other healer, not so much. Next, we've got Buzzstrike and Lancelon. Buzzstrike really good, again, a sort of anti-hack mechanism. Really good on like prime rushes, even using the 3-star, even the 2-star, just to give you that hack prevention. So yeah, really good combat in terms of that. Next, we've got Enerax and Fireglide. Give you a great amount of extra health, give you extra healing. So again, we talked about how good healing is and how much it's sort of prevalent in the game and how much it helps you in your attacks. So yeah, really good in terms of like healing and in terms of giving your bots extra health, especially those special bots that lack that bit of health you need. Next, we've got Styler and Sunbeam. I've tried these on my wars. I like them. They are really good. I just don't like the randomness of the effect sometimes. You can't really predict where it's going to go. But it is generally pretty good. Good range, good damage. And like I said, still a really good combat. Next, we've got the Sword of Balance. So, similar sort of situation that if you have Sentius, this is essential. It's a must-have, and it's absolutely amazing giving Sentius and Malice that extra damage on top of maybe Amalgamus and on top of their ability and ability 11 as well. So yeah, if you are using Sentius at a decent level in the game, I think the Sword of Balance is a must-have combat that you need to go and chase. In terms of the Primer Saber and Dark Saber, pretty decent. Gives an extra hollow, which is a decent amount of HP. Gives you that bit of protection as well and extra DPS, stuff like that. But again, I just find that hollow dies quite quickly. There was a bit of a bug where you got 2 or 3 spawned on the battlefield, which was like amazing, absolutely unbelievable. But obviously they fixed that bug, and now it's just one hollow. And so, yeah, it's kind of like I said, it's A tier, it's decent, it's good, but I just think there's better ones out there. And then going up to the top tier. So coming in at the first is Glitch and Gatorface. That doesn't mean they're the best, it's just the first one to put in. Try to put them in order of the batches, as you can see. Glitch and Gatorface are on my war team. Unbelievable. Give you that great amount of range. Give you that great amount of extra damage. Some people prefer other combats on Smokescreen, but I think it's just standardized for Smokescreen to put that on. Even on defense, I was talking with someone recently about putting gunners on defense, and someone said like, oh, it's pretty useless. But honestly, if you forget about these guys, if you've got a gunner bot in an outpost behind tanks and people don't deal with that first, it can cause a huge amount of damage, especially put the likes of Primer in the on the bot in the outpost. But then also forcing them to use points that they might not be able to use later on. So it's a really good choice. You've got to make sure you place them right though, and make sure you place them behind your tank, so when they do get popped. So it's really good against people that also use sack, because then what you're forcing them to do is you're forcing them to bring all the bots down, but then them bots will stay sat back, sort of picking bots off. So, really good option. Next, we've got Nightstick and Fracas. Probably the best combat in the game. Absolutely immense. The first two that the first combat that I made, level 11, and then even gave the 4-star level 11 as well. And probably the only 4-star that I will give level 11 to. Absolutely immense. Great amount of damage, great amount of healing. Absolutely great. Next, we've got Sidetrack and Growl. Immense on defense, absolutely pests in terms of causing a huge amount of damage to your bots. On offense, I'd maybe put them as A tier rather than S, but absolutely amazing in terms of defense and a must-have. And then straight on to Big Daddy and Groundhog, same sort of reason. Absolutely amazing on defense and a must-have. You could put him on Swoop, put Swoop in an outpost on the launch pad or close to, and it drops them off the launch pad, just hitting your bots constantly. It's a bit of a bug, but the 8 have basically said that they can't fix it in any way or anytime soon, and so it's a great bug to take advantage of. So if you have got a outpost close to the launch pad, I would suggest putting Swoop in that outpost with Big Daddy or Groundhog, or sorry, Swoop or Scourge, with Big Daddy or Groundhog in, and just causing absolute mayhem. Next, we've got Jazzy and Barrow, obviously immense on the likes of Beachcomber. Their ranking might change maybe when Beachcomber gets his nerf. I'm not too sure, but do got a crazy amount of health to outpost bots. Even good on offense, giving them absolutely crazy amount of health on attack as well. So maybe not, maybe they will stay S tier after all the buffs and nerfs come in. But absolutely immense, crazy good content. Next we have CL and Ozu, best healing combats in the game by far. I actually run CL and Rung on my Wheeljack and Minerva. Now, before I got CL, I actually ran Rung and Kunai, which obviously, as I spoke about earlier about Kunai being really good, sort of makes sense now that I also just replaced Kunai with CL because CL is so good. But if you run CL with Kunai or CL with Rung, it just does a crazy amount of healing, and it's a really, really good, effective combo if you run 2 healers. If you're running 1 healer, then just go with CL and Ozu all day. Next we've got SP Optimus and SP Megatron. Now, we talk about minion combats not being very good, but the difference is with these, they've got so much utility. They give your bots a buff, they have a reflective shield, they heal as well, heal themselves, so they just stay alive for a lot longer than most other combats because of all the parts they have to them. And so absolutely immense, helps to get through base a lot faster, hence because the sort of increase in DPS they give your whole team. So yeah, really, really good. The only downfall maybe the fact is that they can wander off, like we spoke about the Primer Star Saber Hollows again. Same sort of thing, but because they give your bot so much utility, then definitely S tier. Next we've got Peacemaker and Tip Top, and I love these guys. I think they're really good. Why have I got Style and Sunbeam in twice? I don't know. Let's just get rid of them a minute. Sorry guys. I thought I was doing so well then. Just get them off. I'm going to do an overview at the end, so I just want to get them off of the screen a minute. Apologies. So next, let's try again. So next, Peacemaker and Tip Top. So these guys are really, really good. Pulled the 5-star literally just before we did this video, and I'm really impressed with them. I love the hack, even on defense, on offense, both. They cause absolute chaos if you put them on an outpost, and I just love them. I think absolutely brilliant. I love the hack. I would rather have the hack a bit more constant. So I think it's every 45 seconds or something, I think it is. So you don't see it a lot in the game, but when it does happen, it's absolutely immense. Personally, I'd like to see it every 20 or 30 seconds and maybe hack for a bit less rather than what it does right now. But yeah, regardless, amazing content, really, really good, and yeah, worth chasing. Next we have the Forge of Soulless Prime. Absolutely amazing. probably what is the best weapon, I feel, and up there with Nightstick and Fracas. Absolutely amazing content. Another content I made to level 11. Absolutely great because obviously the revive as well. Absolutely immense. So definitely worth going chasing. I've literally got the 5-star and the 4-star on my war team. Absolutely immense content. Then we've got the Cosmic Rust Blaster as well. And this is absolutely essential in terms of going Beachcomber because it emphasizes all the elements and does extra damage as well. It just helps sort of get through them combats so much quicker. But obviously, you need to have Nightstick. You need to have the likes of Top Shot in your team just to take advantage. So the more acid and fire you have in your team, add Cosmic Rust Blaster on top of that, and it's absolutely immense. If you're not going to run Acid and Fire, it's kind of worthless, but I don't see why you wouldn't, because obviously Acid stops healing. Fire couples with the Acid, Cosmic Rust Blaster on top of that as well. So absolutely immense, absolutely crazy good, and really, really good content. And there you go, guys. There is all the combats rated for 2025. So let me know what you guys think. Is there any you disagree with? Any would place higher? Any would place lower? Have I missed something? Is there some way you use these combats which make really, really effective on a certain bot? Let me know in the chat, guys. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, let me know what you guys think.